Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Diaries. I'm Michael Lamport, and I'm the producer of the television show Rescue Mediums. And with me, as always, is Jackie Dennison, the host of the show Rescue Mediums. And we are very, very lucky to have with us Catherine Wood. She is a songwriter, an author. She's done so many things. She's got so many wonderful things. So thank you so much for coming on, Catherine.
Thank you. You can call me Kathy.
Kathy, thanks for coming on.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you one question to start off with. Your books sort of have a paranormal bent to them. So when you were growing up, did you have any psychic experiences yourself?
Yeah, right out of the gate. When I was a little baby, I could see spirits and ghosts. I had a little spirit guide or spirit visitor, a little boy. He was from Canada. I called him Knocky because I believed he knocked when he entered. And he was a little dark-haired boy, and he would come and play with me in my bedroom. And we'd sing and dance and play games, and he would tell me things about the other side. And then I would convey that to my mom and dad, and they would freak out. My dad was terrified. And my mom has metaphysics in her background. Her mother and her grandmother were tea leaf readers.
Oh.
And my mom could see as well, but she's tried to squash it. And so she said later in life, I asked her about it. And she said it frightened both of them. Mm-hmm. And I picked up on that, so I didn't talk about it anymore. But I saw ghosts in the house. There was a man down by the laundry who wore a fedora cap and a long trench coat. And he didn't say anything. He just stood there. So he was kind of innocuous. Then there was a woman behind the furnace who wore all black. And she was like terrified. And my sense was I can kind of pick up on what their story is. And my sense was she was an alcoholic and she was hiding. And I don't really know her story, but she was kind of creepy. And then there was something in the crawl space in the cellar that really frightened me. And I'm not sure what that was, but I didn't tell anybody. Pardon me?
Did you sense the thing in the crawl space, or did you see it?
Yes, I sensed it. It had really dark energy in it. And it's funny because I was talking with my siblings later on, and they said that they sensed it as well.
Ah.
So kind of validating, but that kind of stuff. And I got a flash of a past life, which at that time I didn't know what a past life was, but I knew that it was an existence that was prior. And again, I didn't talk about it with anyone.
How old were you, Cassie, when you had that experience with a past life?
I think I was probably about 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was I could really sense that I was a little boy in New York. And I even know my name was Tony. And when I went to Manhattan, I felt like I was home again. It was weird.
Yeah. Because as children, we can recall past lives. As children, we recall it far easier than when we get older, you know. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny, humorous, that your name in New York was Tony, because as we all know, that's hey, Tony,
yeah,
what
Tony.
Are you doing? So I just want to ask you, in your writings, when you weave in the paranormal and stuff like that, is that easy for you then because of your experiences, or is it more difficult?
It's really easy. It's a natural instinct is to go there. That's kind of how my mind works. It's like the 3D world is very boring to me. I know that there's so much more, and so I want to talk about that. And there's not many people you can find to talk about it with, so it's easier to write it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And do you feel that what you write about is based on your own experiences as a child?
Yes, I weave in a lot of my own experiences within the stories.
Mm.
I think Teo is probably the closest in terms of seeing things.
Yeah.
And having to keep that secret because you can't really share it with anyone.
Mm.
And not really having anyone to help direct you as to what you do with this knowledge, or what, you know,
Yeah,
what it's about.
that's Teo and the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
The story that you wrote. Tell us a little bit about that.
That one, I was trying to convey what it's like as a little kid, having that knowledge or seeing those things and not having any outlet or any way to converse with an adult or another person about it, and kind of having to hold that secret all by yourself and figure it out all by yourself.
Yeah.
And with her, she had terrifying experiences, and I, as a little kid, I didn't really have terrifying other than the crawl space thing. But I could relate to having that and not having anywhere to go for help.
Right.
So it was more of a, if other children have that, they're not alone.
Yeah, that's very true, because I mean, as you've experienced, I haven't, but it must be very, very fearful for a child, especially when they've got no one to speak to.
Yeah.
Do you think, do you know, I mean, do kids read the book and sort of connect with tarot?
I don't know. I haven't had it published yet, so I haven't had any feedback on it yet. But I would hope that they would on some level. Yeah.
Mm. So the characters in that book, because I've got the synopsis here in front of me of that, and I want to read this book. I want to read all your books anyway.
Oh, good.
Well, I need you to publish them so that they're available.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, and we need a publisher. There's a publisher watching this. Please publish this fantastic author's books. So, you know, it says here, so she's no ordinary girl. She's clever. She's independent. She's a very strong-willed girl who holds a secret that no one can imagine. And not even her best friend. You know, she's been able to see ghosts since the day she was born. So that's your story. You've been able to see spirit, you know, since you were born. You know, so you bring a grandmother into this. You bring an auntie into this, and you bring you know, Claudius into this, and the old man ghost, and you know, the story that you've just told us, your own story. I can see now reading this where you would have woven those characters in, and they are, because you see them like real people, don't you? You see spirit. Like, I am so jealous of that, honestly. I really am. I want to see spirit. I want to see spirit like you see them.
Yeah, I can see them, and then I get their backstory. It's very odd. I get kind of the backstory, like I was visiting a friend. We have a street called Summit Avenue. It's old mansions. And I was visiting a friend there. And as I was leaving, this flapper woman started following me. And I could see everything she was wearing. And I had a sense of her backstory. And I was like, don't follow me. Don't follow me home. I don't like that. And she said, you have to help me. And that we communicate telepathically, which I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's pretty work. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she got into the car with me, and I was like, no, I don't like this. And so I called on, there's a book that I read from Echo Bodine that said all those fails call in the squadron, which is a group that will help.
I've read that book. Yeah.
I called them and I said, can you please take her? And she was gone.
Yeah.
But
you know, do you realize though that, because I've read the synopsis for a few of the books that you've written here, you do realize that what you're writing about, as well as this understanding of your own experiences from a child and how you're communicating with them now, you're actually doing rescue work as well. You're doing spirit rescue work. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, because you've just,
I didn't think I was in that line of work.
Well, no, you definitely are. I can see that. I can see that, because you're doing what I like to do, and Michael knows that that's how I work. I like to get the back, you call it the backstory. I like to tell me your story and tell me why you are haunting. Why are you haunting? What is going on here? How can I help? And you're getting the backstory, but then you're going, oh, don't follow me, don't follow me. But then they follow you anyway, get you even like, I'm going to be with you in this car, I'm going to tell you even more, you're going to help me. And so you did, you called in your knowledge from reading that book, and you said, please take her, show her the way. That's exactly what you're doing, what I do, which is
Well, I really respect what you do. I really do.
Kathy, do you have any feeling about spirits in your own home, like where you are now?
No, actually, I had a house about 9 or 10 years ago that was really haunted, and it was bothering me because they were interfering a lot, and you know, the kind that come up at your face, and you're like, ugh, get away from me. So at that point, when I left that house, I said, I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see the ghosts anymore. I'm fine with spirit, but I don't want the nuisance ghosts bothering me. So I kind of shut that door, and I don't see them now. I don't see the ghosts. But I see spirit.
Good. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's better for you. It relaxes you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because the house that I was in, it was too much. There were too many of them. I assumed that a girl had opened the portal who lived there before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had like a detective from the 40s who kept bothering me. I had an old mortician in my driveway from the 1800s. And I had like a farmer that had almost bumped into in the hallway on the way to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
It was like from the 1700s. And then there was this young guy who I think was freshly crossed over. He didn't go over, who kept coming into my face and bothering me, and then I was like, this isn't too much.
Well, yeah, and also they don't tend to pay rent, do they?
No. They don't wash the dishes, they don't vacuum, they don't
there you
help
go.
at all.
There you go. They just create havoc. You know, you used two words which interested me. You said you don't want to see the ghost. You're okay with the spirits, but you don't want to see the ghost. How do you differentiate between what is spirit and what is a ghost?
For me, a ghost is very filmy and very cloudy. And I guess their vibration is lower. With spirit, they're clear, and it's almost iridescent in a way. I mean, they just have a different vibration. It's higher. It's much higher.
Yeah, different vibe. Yeah, it's interesting because you know, people use, oh, I've seen a spirit, I've seen a ghost, and to me it's all the same thing. It's like, it's just a different word, that's all. But it's the vibration. You hit it, the nail on the head. It's the vibrational difference between pure spirit communication with someone, a loved one in spirit, or someone who is bringing love and light around you and wants to help, or someone who needs help, which is a lower vibration for whatever reason, and maybe it's the vibration that you're seeing, that different vibration that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way to describe. I've always wanted to ask someone that question. How do you see it? What is the difference between it? You know,
you can really tell the difference. It's quite distinct.
Yeah. And I don't see spirit like you do. I work with the energy, so it's an energy vibration that I see. If I'm working with spirit rescue, I not only see here, but I can see in a physical sense, because they project the image. It's almost like having a projector screen.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah. And so so it's interesting. It's always good to talk to like-minded people who totally get what you say.
Yeah.
So you know, you've written 3 screenplays as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now I want to go back to your other the other books, that are trilogy that you've written shortly, but the screenplays that you've written are so different to the children's books. The children's books are not just for children. I see them as for adults as well. However, your screenplays are totally different. And so where did you get the information from those? Because these are dealing with like alcoholics, with drug dealers, with drug abuse, with physical and mental abuse as well. They're woven into the story.
Those I wrote. I believe I wrote Suki's Tale while I was in college. I was studying screenwriting.
Yeah.
And I based that mostly on the difficulties of growing up from teenage years into early adulthood, and that transition is not easy. It can be really choppy. And so I kind of threw everything in the sink as far as the issues with what you could come up with to deal with the dark. And when I introduced the past life in that story, that was from a friend of mine that I knew who brought me to this bookstore when my father died when I was 16, and shortly after that she introduced me to this new age bookstore. And they had a lot of classes on past life regression and whatnot. And so I tried to weave that into it as far as like, let's try to make sense of this. Like, why are you this way, and why am I this way, and why are we reacting to each other this way, and just the difficulties of that. And it is kind of light to start.
You know, it's fascinating that how you've done this, because you've brought spiritual thought patterns into a very tangible sort of things that are happening you know, in everyday life, you know, like drug abuse and like alcoholism and all of the other kinds of abuse that's there, that we allow into our lives, and how you overcome it. It's like good and bad, overcoming, you know, through a spiritual journey and seeing the light, if you like, on a very, very personal journey, and being able to witness other people who are now going through their own journey and they can't see that light. So I think that from Suki's Tale that I was reading your synopsis, which is in front of me, it's like, it's really, really deep, but out of it emerges something really good from that. So I like that. I think one of the ones that really sort of made me think was A Father's Child. That one, because I'm starting to read the synopsis today. So Kelsey Ryan finds a briefcase full of cocaine hidden underneath her bed. She knows that her living boyfriend has something to do with it being there. So she just takes it, she confiscates it, she tries to get rid of it with consequences. Huge consequences. Going to see her mom and her dad, and it's like, then the drug dealers who come looking for the, you know, the briefcase, they go and try and find her. And that is a real twist in that tale. Yeah. Because
the drug dealers that come in that tale, is one of them named Donnie?
No, I don't think so.
But when you write about those other various, I guess, sort of non-paranormal aspects, do you draw on any of that from, as well, from your life or friends' lives that you know?
I pretty much made up A Father's Daughter is totally made up. That's all imagination. Suki's Tale had little exaggerated sprinkles of growing up. But when I write, period, I see a movie in front of me, and I'm like narrating it through writing. And so I'm not always sure how it's going to go or what direction it's going to take, and I just follow it. So
I really like the end of this, you know, because
The Father's Child.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness. Because I'm reading through it and I'm going, oh really? I mean, the bad guys get killed, but then a year down the line, the bad guys are the ghosts that then come to haunt those that have killed them. And I'm thinking, oh my God. is that
Yeah.
ever a tale there?
Yeah.
So you've even brought that paranormal theme into that. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I want to read, how does it end? What happens
Yeah.
next? Oh my God.
And she's the only one that can see them.
Yes.
So she's once again alone in this.
Yeah. Alone and trying to deal with it. And you know, the farmhouse as well. The farmhouse is that's another sort of screenplay that you've written, and you're bringing something into that as well, because you're bringing in things like her mother has Alzheimer's, and you know, she's at a crossroads in her life, and how does she deal with things? And she goes on this supernatural journey, if you like. And again, you've got the past that's coming into that, plus all those characters. And you talking earlier about the characters you could see in that old house that you lived in. I'm seeing these characters, like there's a character of a farmer there, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I know where he fits in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you know.
Going on, like Jackie says, like going on that journey. It reminds me very much of Native people's spirit quests. Yeah, when you know, when they go out and find their totem animal and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. Never thought of that.
Yeah.
See, that's going to be in her next story now. You do realize that,
see?
Michael.
You just planted a seed.
You and I will be characters somewhere in one of Kathy's stories.
No. If you put me in the book, then you got to call me Tony.
Tony. And then you'll know it's you.
So tell us about Dusty Bloom, the 9-year-old. It's a trilogy, isn't it? You've written.
Yes, it's a trilogy, and that has an interesting backstory. I was in college and I was studying screenwriting and literature, and I thought I was going to be a screenwriter. Right. And then, I was living in this house with all these ghosts, and so I was used to weird paranormal stuff. But I was sitting on my couch one night, and I looked up, and there was this huge. It was like this big of a fuzzy thing above my dining room table. And I was looking at it like, what is that? And I looked down, and my cat was sitting on the floor, and she was looking up at it. So I was like, okay, she sees it. So it's there. And it started clarifying itself. And all of a sudden it cleared up, and it was just an army of fairies.
Wow.
In my house.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, that's crazy, you know? And I looked back at my cat again, and she's still looking at it. And then it disappeared. And I thought, okay, that means something. There's a reason why they presented themselves. But I never thought of fairies or, fairy creatures or anything like that before. That was never really in my imagination or anything.
Right.
And so then following that, I was taking some psychic course, and I was reading a friend of mine, and I saw this book floating in the air. And I thought, you're going to write a book? And she said, no. And I went, okay. And I thought about it on, and I thought, I'm supposed to write a book. And I don't know how to write. I mean, I know how to creative write, but I don't know how to write a book. And so I thought, well, I should probably dig in, and being a Virgo, I tend to research a lot. And so I dug in, and I started researching fairies, gnomes, all the, elves, all the pixies, and everything I could think of. And I took what research I had, and I put it aside, and then I just kind of became receptive, like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And it started floating in. And the stories just kind of manifested for me. And so it's a combination of my research and what came through me and what I imagined.
Yeah, because I think when that happens, and Jackie said this many times, is that when you reach out to the spirit world or the fairy world or whatever, you're shining a flashlight, and they are attracted to it because they know that you may listen to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. And you
Yeah.
become, you become something that they want to know.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that just kind of, that is what put me on that path. And I didn't know it was going to be a trilogy. I thought it was just going to be one book.
Yeah.
But after I wrote the first book, I was like, and what happens is I get titles first.
Oh, okay.
I don't get the gist of the book. I get titles. And so I got The Magical Forest, The Hapless Garden, and The River That Sings. And I'm like, okay, so I guess it's going to be a trilogy. And I didn't know how it was going to manifest or anything. And so when I wrote the first book, I thought, okay, that one's done. Now I don't know what The Hapless Garden is going to be about. And and for that, I started researching more like nature and bugs and plant life and stuff like that. And I don't know if I assume I'm being prompted to do the research as well, so that I have some kind of foundation to work from. And then I wrote that, and then I said, okay, now I don't know what the river one's going to be about. And I started studying rivers, and that started bubbling up. So yeah.
Fascinating. You know, you and I first met when you came to me for a reading. We met like this, and during the reading, one of your spirit guides came forward and said that he was working with you with writing, and he wanted you to write. And at that point, I didn't know you were an author. And then you said, I felt someone was willing me to write right from the start. So now we know who it is who's coming forward to do that. And that's how we came to be talking today, was that, because honestly, this work of yours needs to be out there. I want to read about Dusty Bloom and going into that forest and becoming, you know, the next great shaman of the forest, you know, or the shaman of the forest. I want to know what happens on this journey that she's there, and I would absolutely be buying your books.
Oh, that's good to hear.
You know, and I said to Michael prior to this meeting today, they don't need just to be books, they need to be on a screen. They absolutely need to be on a screen. Yeah.
And I saw that as well, because like I said, I write as though it's a movie. And so I visually, I can see it on film as well. So I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, we are too. And if we can promote you in any way, shape or form, we absolutely will.
Well, that's
so tell us about your next story, because I know you're already writing another story.
Yes, Cassandra's Dream is my next one, and I'm getting the sense that that's a young adult book. Okay. And it starts off with her reading tarot. And so I think it's going to be an exploration of the spirit world, an exploration of metaphysics, and what one young girl finds in her discoveries. And I'm not sure what direction or what path it's going to take quite yet, but I know it's going to be the exploration of self and the spirit world. With the different mediums. One of the things is going to be palmistry, which I'm not familiar with, so I have a couple books on that, and I got to study it and find out.
Yeah.
So that I can have some sense of truth behind it. I mean, I like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about when I'm referencing things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my palms read, but I don't know enough about it to write about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the ancient art forms as well, you know, like water scrying. Water scrying is another one.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that, but that would be
that's
cool.
good, because you can sense the energy with that as well, you know, with when you water scry.
Off the water, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Water's very interesting.
It's a very good conductor, you know.
Yeah.
So talking of conductors and energy, you are also a musician and you have recorded a CD, but even that comes from a sort of mystical and spiritual sort of background, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
What happened with that?
That is, I heard something about how Mozart came up with melodies. And it was something to the, like, he leaned against his temple. I don't know how accurate that is, but I thought, well, I'm going to try that. And so, so I did that, and I had all these really strange melodies come through.
Oh, wow.
I thought, well, they're so odd. They're not like something you'd hear on the radio. They're very different. And so I recorded them all. And then I thought, well, now I need to put some lyrics to that. And I had written poetry before, so lyrics is not a far jump from poetry. It's kind of the same thing. And except for you have to stay within the verse, you know,
right,
verse, bridge, that kind of model. So I started trying to marry the melodies to the lyrics, but then in most cases I would write lyrics for the melody. And so then I had those done, and I had about 12 of them, and I got rid of 4 because they weren't any good in my opinion. And then I did demo tapes and sent those to a young group of women that were doing a trio, and they needed someone to fill in for them. And when I got good feedback from that, I thought, well, I should probably record this. So then I found a producer, and I had him record it, and he had musicians come in, and it was interesting because some of the musicians really understood what I was trying to do. And so when they would give me their arrangements, it's like, that is right on the money.
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy because I didn't know any of them, but they like, it was like a language that we all understood.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got that out there, and you know, waiting to re-record that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Do you feel that comes from, are you channeling your inner Mozart when you're doing that?
I love Mozart. My mom was a singer, a professional singer. And so there was always music in the house, and she encouraged us to play instruments, but I never like was in choir or anything, but I always find myself singing. I'm always singing throughout the day. And I come up with these really strange melodies, but I feel like they're coming from my soul, from soul experience of the many lives I've lived, or the many experiences I've experienced. And so it's like open-ended. It's like I will hum Middle Eastern music, and it's like, okay, I'm in the middle of America. I don't know where that's coming from, other than maybe, you know, soul experience. So yeah, so it feels like I don't know how to describe it other than it just feels supernatural for me.
Yeah,
there's a play on words.
Yeah, maybe your next album should be called Supernatural.
Supernatural. There you go. So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah. I think because you're talking about soul journeys, which, you know, goes back to the past life stuff, because when you start working with past life memory, of course, you can access those soul memories that you can bring forward to now, and you can use them in this lifetime, which you are absolutely doing. Without a shadow of a doubt. So, you know, you've been a writer in a former lifetime, you've been a musician in a former lifetime, you know, you've been all of these things, you know. You might have even been a ghost in a former lifetime, and then, you know, you've seen the light and then been reborn and then okay again, you know. Oh, do you know what? You are absolutely such a fascinating person to speak to. You really are. There's so much. I love looking at people's energy field, and Michael is the same. He likes looking at people's auras, and yours is what I call a buzzing aura.
Really?
You have a buzzing aura because there's so much more to come from you.
I kind of feel like a kettle that's bubbling.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can really believe that. So please keep on writing, and then we need to get you out there.
Well, I would appreciate that very much. I feel like I'm never going to stop. Like it just keeps going. So and I'm more than happy to participate in it. Be a co-writer.
There you go. You see, you never know these things. You never know who you're channeling, who's working with you. You know, let's get some more there, bring them into the stories. Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we will look forward to seeing everything in print sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And maybe we can have a catch up then when that happens to see how you're
Yeah.
progressing and, you
Absolutely.
know, how is it Cassandra's dream? Did you say?
Cassandra's dream. Yep.
Cassandra's dream. See how that is progressing.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right, Kathy. Lovely talking to you.
Great talking to you guys.
Okay.
Oh, it was wonderful. So say hello to, would you be considered in the Midwest?
Yes, Midwest.
So say hello to the Midwest for me.
All right, I will. Take
Okay.
care, you guys.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.